I'm grateful to have never experienced the loss of a job. I can imagine it would be horrific, but how much more difficult would it be if your family members were all laid off too, and all of your friends and your neighbors? Everybody out of work on the same day, and the layoffs are permanent. That's what happened in Kannapolis when Cannon Mills shut down. In our special series Remade in the Carolinas, Textile Towns, Carolina Impact's Jeff Saunier takes us to Kannapolis.
Here in downtown Kannapolis, well, you see empty storefront after empty storefront. Lots of boarded up doors and windows. All reminders of some of this textile town's darkest days.
I'm going down to the city of looms, gonna meet my destination.
The collapse of Cannon Mills was hard on Kannapolis. Hard to watch, hard to comprehend, hard to believe, really.
I'm going down to the city of looms.
They were once the largest manufacturer of towels in the world. 300,000 towels a day here in Kannapolis, 30,000 on the payroll.
Down on Southern.
Once you got a job there, you had a job as long as you wanted to work.
But then the hometown mill that kept Kannapolis working for 97 years just stopped working.
All of a sudden, they closed it, just like that. And the people had to leave.
Yeah, Kannapolis was a Cannon Mills company town back then. Only now the company's gone. The jobs are gone. Even the mill buildings. Gone.
And I think, well, now this is where the main office used to be. And I go by, oh, this is where Plant 1 used to be. There's where the cotton warehouses were. Well, there's Plant 7 over here.
At age 95, Norris Dearman has more memories than most of us. His 43-year career at Cannon Mills began in 1938, when he was still in high school.
I worked in the mill blowing off looms. I thought everybody had to go work in the mill at some time or other. And anybody that came out of high school could go to Mr. Cannon the next day and get a job in the mill. He told them that. And that's what a lot of them did. And a good many of them worked there for the rest of their life. And they were happy. And they had food on the table, and they had money in their pockets. Wasn't a whole lot, but it was, it's good enough to live off of, and they were satisfied. That gave those people a chance to get an education and send them to college for 4 years. It covered it.
Eventually, Dearman himself worked at the Cannon Mills main office, overseeing the company's first computers. These old tabulation machines from his office are now on display here at the Kannapolis Museum. 97 years of mill history crammed into 2 rooms at the high school. That history includes the largest layoff ever in North Carolina, 4,340 Cannon workers in Kannapolis, all losing their jobs the same day. Norris Dearman remembers.
Well, they were marched out of the mill, so they couldn't carry off things in the mill, I guess.
There were so many of them that did not know what they were going to do. They didn't know, that was the only thing they knew how to do.
Phil Allen says his co-workers at Cannon were like family, and when they suffered, well, so did the downtown shops and stores that were the mill's extended family.
When the mill shut down, a lot of them went out of business. It paralyzed a lot of people because there were so many people that depended on Cannon Mills for a living. But there's no smoke at all coming out of the stack, for the mill has shut down and it ain't coming back.
Today, the only thing left are these old mill houses in Kannapolis, across the street from where Cannon Mills used to be. Their front porches now overlooking mostly open fields instead, and off in the distance, in the middle of those open fields, you can see the new research buildings, UNC and NC State and Duke and all the other universities, sending their scientists to what's now called the North Carolina Research Campus.
We have to extract the compounds that could be the ones that are interacting in the human body.
Here, the shuttle looms and spinning rooms are long gone. It's a world of lab coats and latex gloves now. The new Kannapolis City Hall is here too.
We have over 1,000 people who work at the research campus on a day-to-day basis. In addition to that, because of the research that's going on, we are now revitalizing our downtown.
Mayor Darrell Hinnon talks with pride about the work already underway, turning the old Plant 1 site into a new downtown baseball stadium, which will tie in with new park areas along West Avenue, new stores and restaurants, new condos and offices. The city is saving a few of its most historic downtown buildings, but it will be a lot different than the old downtown Kannapolis, and the mayor admits that's part of the problem. The grander the plan, the louder the doubters.
Many questions came up. Are you going to make it like it used to be? And the reality is, it is not going to be like it used to be. It is going to be something totally different than it used to be, but it's going to have lots of jobs. It's going to have lots of activity.
Kannapolis is also seeing lots of jobs and activity outside of downtown, including this huge new distribution center for Amazon, promising 600 jobs to start with and another 600 eventually, not to mention all those Kannapolis construction jobs over the next few years.
Part of the difficulty is, I think, that people expect overnight results, and it's just because they want a job, they want better income, they want an opportunity to make life better for their families.
They're trying to bring stuff into town to get things back, but it's going to take a while.
For Cannon old-timers like Phil Allen, the more recent changes he's seeing downtown and the jobs he's seeing at Amazon are a lot easier to relate to than those research labs across the tracks from his mill house on Main Street.
It don't help what they call normal people. If you don't have a college education, you're not going into research and development. I don't care what you do.
Because it was a pretty building.
Meanwhile, Norris Dearman figures second base at that new Kannapolis ballpark. Well, it looks like it's right about where his old office at Plant Number 1 was.
Seems a shame, but that's bygone now. We just have to dream about it the way it used to be, just to reminisce about it.
You don't want to forget this.
I know, that's right. I don't want to forget it. It meant something to me then and still does today, even though it's not there.
Jeff Sawyer is with me now in the studio, and grateful for your series of reports. We've learned so much about the textile towns in our area. What makes Kannapolis different than some of the others?
Well, every textile town was affected by the collapse of the industry, but in Kannapolis, they had more than 4,000 layoffs in one day. The other towns, it kind of was a cascading effect. One mill would close, then another, then another. In Kannapolis, they all closed on one day, one company shutting everything down, and that was just an economic gut punch that I'm not sure any town can really relate to like Kannapolis has had to relate to.
Is there still bitterness in town, even though it's been a long time?
I think there is. You know, the folks in Kannapolis, they love the Cannons, the founders of the mill itself, but the mill was taken over by outsiders, by another company before it shut down. And I think a lot of the folks that live in Kannapolis, they don't just blame foreign competition. I think they blame the new owners for part of the problem that led to the shutdown of Cannon Mills. Again, everybody lost their job, friends, family, neighbors, all on the same day. And collectively, they're looking for a villain. And in many ways, the ownership of Cannon Mills today, or then, was the villain they found.
Do you consider Kannapolis and the research park successful?
Well, it's not what I consider successful, but a lot of folks in Kannapolis look at the jobs that have been created, the new buildings that have replaced where the mill used to be, and they see growth, and they see innovation, and they see a calling card that Kannapolis can use going forward to distinguish itself from other small towns. Interestingly, you talk to some of the folks who used to work in the mill, they don't see the big buildings. They see the wide open spaces around the big buildings. They wonder why the growth has taken so long and why they're not specifically affected by that growth. So it's all a matter of context. Depends on how you're looking at that research campus, on whether you think it's successful or not.
Anything else on the horizon?
Well, our Textile Town documentary is coming up in a couple of weeks, and we're all excited about that. We've kind of checked off all the towns on our bucket list. We've been to 8 different textile towns, 8 different stories. Every story is similar in some ways, but very different in others. They all have different histories, all have different futures, and it's been a learning experience for us, and hopefully an enjoyable experience for the viewers as well.
We appreciate your reports, and I always love the fact that I learn something new every time you come to visit.
Thanks, Amy.
As a reminder, Remade in the Carolinas Textile Towns documentary premieres Monday, March 5th at 7 p.m.